Hello, I'm Michael Quinlan from R&ID. I am the Advocacy Manager, and I would like to introduce Stephen. If I could hand over to you, Stephen, to explain who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, everyone. My name's Stephen. I work at the Electoral Commission as our Partnership Engagement Manager, working in the voter engagement team. As that suggests, we do a lot of work to give voters the knowledge and confidence they need in order to take part in elections.
Great. So we did have another video that we recorded earlier where we had a chat about registering to vote and the importance of voter ID. This time, I would like to have a chat with you about the different ways that people can cast their vote. So could you just explain to me now, what are the different ways that people can vote?
Sure. So there's three ways you can cast your vote. One, you can vote in person at a polling station on the 4th of July. And we know that's what most people choose to do. But if that doesn't work for you, you have a couple of options. You can either vote by post, which, as that suggests, basically means submitting your vote on a form and you post that into your council. And the third option is to vote by proxy, which is where you nominate someone you trust to go into a polling station on polling day and vote on your behalf.
That's really interesting. There are three ways to vote. That's great. I would like to, perhaps focus first on the first one, which is the in-person voting. Could you explain what can I expect from casting my vote in person?
So when you arrive at the polling station and you go in, you'll go up to the desk and the polling station staff will ask for your name and address, and they'll then check that you're on the electoral register. So that part of the process hasn't changed. If you've ever voted in a polling station before, that bit's the same. The difference is now that you will then be asked for your photo ID. So you either need to show them one of those accepted forms of ID that we discussed in the other video, or the free voter ID known as a voter authority certificate that you may have applied for instead. They'll take that ID and they're literally just looking at your photograph, looking at you and making sure that you are who you say you are. That's all they're using that ID for. Once they're happy that you are who you say you are, they'll give you your ID back. They will give you your ballot paper and you can then take that into a polling booth and you can mark your cross in the box next to the person you want to be your MP, fold it up, pop it in the ballot box, and you're done. You've voted.
That's interesting. You mentioned the election day, which is the 4th of July. So yes. What time would the polling stations be open on that day? What time would they close?
Polling stations are open from 7 o'clock in the morning until 10 p.m. at night. And in fact, if you get to the polling station late on and there's a queue, so long as you're in that queue by 10 o'clock, you will still be allowed to go in and cast your vote. So you don't need to be in the building at 10 o'clock. You just need to be in the queue. So that means that you can pick a time that works for you, whether that's before work or school, or university, lunchtime, after work, whatever works for you.
Brilliant, thank you. Important information there. I think if obviously people are deaf or have hearing loss, sometimes they can get a bit anxious about entering a situation like a polling station where you have to communicate with people that maybe you don't know. Can you just explain what people can expect to be asked by staff at the polling station?
Absolutely. So in terms of the polling station staff themselves, you will be asked for your name and address when you get to the desk, so they can check you're on the electoral register, and then you will be asked for your ID, and that will be it. What you might see is that there might be what we call tellers outside the polling station as well. Now, those are employed by political parties, and they will ask after you come out. They're keen to know how many people in the area have voted for their party. Now, you don't need to answer their questions, but they're allowed to be there. If you don't want to answer their questions, that's fine. You can just keep moving. But in terms of the polling station staff, all you'll be asked for is your name and address and for your ID, and that's it.
That's great. So is there any support that people who might be anxious about communicating or, going through the process, they might have a lack of confidence in a situation like that. Is there any other support that's available on site at the polling station?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the first thing to say is that polling station staff are there to help. So if you need that help on the day, please do ask them. The person who's in charge of the polling station is known as the presiding officer, and they can actually help you cast your vote if you need that help. So while it's important to note that everybody, including disabled people, have the right to vote independently and in secret, that support is available to them if they need that help to enable them to cast their vote. But another person that can help is a companion. So you can now take anyone with you who's over 18 to help you cast your vote, and they can even enter the polling booth with you if you need help understanding the ballot paper and where the party or the candidate is that you want to vote for. They can help you with that. They will simply be asked to fill in a very short form when they get to the polling station, just to confirm who they are, and that's it. They don't need to show their ID, and you can take them with you into the polling booth to help you vote. But the main thing to add on top of that is that if you have any questions about what support's available at the polling station, including if you have access needs, contact your local council now and find out, speak to them, because what support's available will vary from one polling station to the next. So it's really important to ask them, and they'll be able to tell you what can be provided, and you can request additional support at the polling station if you need it, and the council will do their best to accommodate you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that explanation, very clear explanation of voting in person. If we can move on to the next way of casting a vote, which is voting by post. I wonder, do you need voter ID for casting a vote by post? And could you briefly explain how that works?
Certainly. So no, you don't. You don't need photo ID when you apply to vote by post. You simply prove your identity by providing certain bits of information on the application form. So that's your name and address, your date of birth, and your national insurance number. So that's how the council will be able to verify that you are who you say you are when you apply. So when you complete that application form, you need to make sure that you get that into the council by the deadline, which is Wednesday, the 19th of June at 5 p.m. in Great Britain. In Northern Ireland, it's actually earlier, it's 5 p.m. on Friday, the 14th of June.
Okay. When people receive notification that an election is coming, and they select the method that they would like to use to cast their vote, if they do select to vote by post, where can they find the application form? Where can they go to find that?
Certainly. So the application form can be downloaded from the government's website, and we'll put the link in the description below. But you could also contact your council and ask them to send it to you as well.
That's great. So when somebody has applied or has decided they want to apply, could you just give us an idea of what sort of information they will be asked for to complete the application form? I mean, I'm thinking obviously, name and address, but does it require a signature? And I'm just thinking how you would add a signature if you were applying electronically.
Yes, that's a very good question. So we have more information on the process for voting by post on our website, so you can find out about the signature there. You also need to provide your national insurance number and your date of birth. Now, as we talked about in the previous video, your council will get in touch with you if you don't have your national insurance number and can help. They'll tell you what other form of identification you need to provide when you apply.
Great. So I think casting a vote by post, you will complete your ballot paper. So when would you be expected, when will you receive your ballot paper through the post once you've completed the application?
It will vary. It will vary. They tend to come pretty quickly. I'm sure that as we get closer to the deadline and councils are dealing with more applications, that time may take slightly longer. But that's all the more reason to get your application in early. So make sure you apply as soon as you can if you've decided that you want to vote by post. As I said before, the deadline is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 19th of June. And then, you should get your what we call the postal ballot pack with the form where you actually cast your vote. You should get that within just a few days. And then you need to fill that in and post it and make sure that it arrives at the council by 10 p.m. on polling day. So it's just, yeah, I would just encourage you to apply as early as you can.
Okay, and can anyone apply for a postal vote? So anybody who's deaf or has hearing loss or somebody like me, can we apply for a postal vote?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody that wants, anyone that's eligible to vote in the election can apply for a postal vote. And you don't need to give a reason.
Okay, okay. So that's ways 1 and 2 explained, I think. If we can move on to the third and final method of casting a vote, what is this voting by proxy? Could you explain that to me, please?
Yes, so voting by proxy is an option particularly if you just find you can't get to the polling, you won't be able to get to the polling station on polling day. And what it means is you fill in a form saying that you want somebody that you trust to go to the polling station and vote on your behalf. Now, obviously, they are going into the polling station. They can cast their vote, but they will be casting a vote for you as well, which is why it's important that it's someone that you trust so that you know they will vote for the person you want them to vote for. So having filled in this form, giving some details about the person you want to be your proxy, when they get to the polling station, they will need to take their photo ID to show that they are the person that you have nominated to vote for you. They don't need to show your ID. So you don't need to give them your ID to take with them. They just need their own ID. So when they got to the polling station, they'll be given a ballot paper for you on your name that you then fill in. But let's say you have someone that you trust that you want to vote for you, but they don't live in your area. That's perfectly fine. What they will then do is you will apply for what's called a postal proxy vote, which is where that person will cast your vote by post in your constituency, in the area where you live, and they can vote in person for themselves where they live. So they don't need to be in your area to cast your vote for you.
Okay, thank you. So how, if you could just go through again, how, if I was interested in voting by proxy, what is the process I would go through? How do I apply to do that?
Again, it's like when you register to vote or apply for a postal vote, you can do it on the government's website, and we'll make sure the link is in the description below. So you'll get the form there. You can either download the form and fill it in, or you can apply online. Although it's worth checking, actually. worth checking our website, the Electoral Commission's website, and again, we'll put the link in the description, because there are slight differences in terms of how you're able to apply in Northern Ireland. So it's just worth checking if you're in Northern Ireland to check our website just to make sure that you've got the information you need.
So where could I go if I needed support with completing the application?
Your first best option would be to contact your council. The Electoral Services team there will be able to tell you what support they can offer throughout the whole process. So they can tell you how they can support you to register to vote. They can tell you how they can support you with applying for your postal or proxy vote if that's what you want to do. So I would contact them. Now, if you're not sure who to contact at your council, on our website, and we'll include the link in the description, we have a page where you can just enter your postcode and it will tell you it will give you a name and a phone number and an address for the relevant team at your local council, so you know exactly who to contact. It's also worth pointing out while we're talking about our website, actually, and we'll make sure that the link is available, that you can contact us using BSL. So if you're looking for information about voter ID or registering to vote, or how to vote by postal or proxy, you can contact us using SignLive. Or if you live in Scotland, you can use a Contact Scotland BSL. So we have that function available too.
Brilliant. That's really important. I think on July the 4th, obviously, is election day, but when is the deadline for a proxy vote?
Right, yes. So the deadline for applying
for a proxy vote.
Yes, so the deadline to apply for a proxy vote is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 26th of June. So it's a bit closer. It's about just over a week before polling day, before the election. So you've got a bit more time. But again, like all of this, it's really worth getting that application in early if you can.
That's good to know the deadline. If I have an emergency and I'm not able to vote in person, which was my original intention, can I use the proxy vote then? And if so, how does that work?
Your option in that situation would be to apply for what's called an emergency proxy vote. So let's say, for example, you plan to vote in person on 4th of July, and you get to that morning and something's come up with a family member, or you're feeling rotten and you can't get out of bed, and it's too late to apply for a regular proxy vote, too late to apply for a postal vote. What you can do is you can apply for an emergency proxy vote. Now, you can do that anytime up till 5 p.m. on polling day. So 5 p.m. on the 4th of July, and you would apply for that by contacting the Electoral Services team at your council. And as I said before, you can find out their contact details by entering your postcode into our website, and the link will be in the description for that.
Brilliant. That's some really great information that you've covered there on voting by proxy. I think it would be really helpful, Stephen, if you were able to just sum up the key pieces of information that you covered there, something that our viewers could take away from this recording and will help them cast their vote.
Yeah, certainly. I think the key thing to start with is just to say that there is support available at the polling station. You can ask staff for help and they will do their best to help you. And if you are, if you're thinking about voting in person and you're not sure what the facilities will be like, or you might need to request some additional support, do contact your council, and they'll be able to tell you what will be available, and you can make requests of any additional support if you need it, and they'll do their best to accommodate that. If you choose to vote in person at a polling station, do remember your ID. We talked in the last video about what forms of ID are accepted, but the full list is on our website. Again, the description will include a link to that. But if you prefer, if you'd find it more accessible, you can vote by post or by proxy. So the deadline to apply for a postal vote is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 19th of June. So that's soon, that's very soon. So make sure you get that application in quickly. The deadline to apply for that in Northern Ireland is even sooner. That's 5 p.m. on Friday, the 14th of June. So you really do need to be quick if you've not done it already. If you want to vote by proxy, so if you want to have someone that you trust vote on your behalf, the deadline to apply for that is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 26th of June in England, Scotland, and Wales. And again, it's earlier, it's Friday, the 14th of June in Northern Ireland. You can find out more information about all of this on our website, though, and as I've said before, we'll have the link in the description as well.
That's some really valuable information there, Stephen. Thank you for answering all my questions so well. I really hope the people viewing this video have learned a lot about how to cast their votes. So thank you very much for your time. And I think that's the end of our video. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Michael. I really hope it's helpful and I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Many thanks.